Yes, everybody. Welcome in to episode 92 of the Dumb Marks podcast. It's your boys, the favorite Saturday brunch bunch. Best four-man booth in the business, back at it again. Although we are the triple trifecta today. We'll get into the fourth one in a minute. Trust me. You're not going to want to miss this. Okay? This is grade A, Jason, and you're not going to want to miss this. Shout out to everybody. How you guys doing today? We good?
Doing well.
Nice day, nice Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm back after a week off. I had to do my fatherly duties last week. I was out there. My son's graduation party was last Saturday from high school, so I was out there doing all that, running around, setting up, and everything else. But it was a nice time with family and friends. I appreciate everybody that came out and supported him and get ready for the next chapter in his life. So thank you.
That food was good.
Yes, it was. That food was good.
Food was fire. Food was definitely fire. Long day, but a good day. So that's why I was off last week, Kenny, if you're listening. I heard the shots. I see and hear everything, okay? Don't matter if I'm on the pod or not. I get it all right? Got eyes and ears everywhere. I'm like the FBI, bro. Okay? With that being said, as the prosecution, I'd like to pull up an Exhibit A for the fourth member of this podcast, because we gotta take him to court for this. This is beyond the flagrant foul. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If you can't tell, this is not Photoshop. Jason is at the beach currently. Okay. On family vacay. Shout out to the fam.
He's tuning in.
My man is in a hoodie on the beach. It's like 95-degree weather. And probably has on sweatpants, but you can't see those. Because I guarantee you he don't own a pair of swim trunks. And I'm not
he does own the shorts, though, because he shoveled the snow in the shorts.
How do you do? How? Like if I was at the beach and I seen somebody show up dressed in a hoodie and sweatpants, full sweatsuit, this guy's out of control. Out of control. I would move as far away as possible from him because he's the type of guy that you don't want to be around. Okay, that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Surprised somebody to pull him to the side, be like, "You look suspicious."
I'm surprised like a lifeguard didn't hop off their chair and run over like Baywatch and start doing CPR because he's going to get hot. He's going to die of heat flash.
Maybe that's what he was going for.
This is unbelievable. And it wasn't even like a breathable long sleeve. Like, that was 100% cotton. My man was out there cooking. He was roasting like a turkey on Thanksgiving. You can't even get in the water and that and cool off. Like, there's no coming back from that. How does that even end up in your suitcase? Like, when you're packing to go away to the beach, what makes you go, I'm going to throw this sweatsuit in? And on top of that, it's an all-black sweatsuit. So let's attract the most heat possible to my body while I'm on the beach.
What he wears. It's every day.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's every day.
He's going to be finding sand for the next 2 years just around his room and everything else because you're not going to get that out of that sweatsuit.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't go to the beach in flip-flops. I'm sure he was still walking on the beach in Jordans.
For the New Balances.
Just as a reminder of what not to do in life, can we get that picture minimized and put up on the screen? We'll just leave it there
for the whole show.
There we go.
We'll be on the show the whole time.
So anytime you think about making a bad decision in life, just look at this picture. Okay? Look at this picture, and then that'll walk you back off the ledge so you can make the right decision in life. Because this right here is wrong. All right? There's no fashion week involved here. There's no Met Gala. This is just a dude showing up to the beach in a full sweatsuit.
I don't know. You got the hand up and everything. That
Yeah,
might
you
be
do.
the,
He's
that might be
posing.
the Bumble profile picture right there.
And I know his arms are long, but I mean, he got a selfie stick. That's definitely taken with a selfie stick. That's not just an extended arm. He's selfie sticking it up out there. Which is even more of a flagrant foul that you're taking selfie stick pics on the beach in a swimsuit. This is unbelievable. I could sit here for the next 2 hours and just continue to crack on this. We'll move on, but just know it will be there the rest of the picture. Okay, we'll be there. We may even change that to our podcast logo. It's just Jason in a sweatsuit on the beach. Unbelievable.
What is the definition of a dumb mark?
That's not even being a dumb mark. That's just
that picture.
That's criminally insane right there. And how did his family let him go out like that? I got questions for them too.
Oh, they let him be.
Why are you letting him walk around with you dressed like that at the beach? You gotta pull him aside, like, hey, bro, you need to put on a t-shirt, some shorts, like air out. You know, sun is good. Vitamin D energizes you. No wonder why he sleeps 20 hours a day. The only thing that's getting sunlight is his face and his hands. It's not enough sunlight to get energized and be awake. I saw that picture and I sent it to Chris last night. Like, blow this up and we are putting this directly on the podcast. Because I'm not letting that slide at all. Unreal. With that being said, I'm going to call it a Stan Donald next because I saw something from you yesterday that was almost as bad as this picture. So if you want to lay out the story of you getting into an argument with a young person at the store, and this is an example of how not to clap back at somebody, okay?
Oh, it is in my head.
This is not how you roast somebody. This is not how you leave, up, check mark, I got one up on him. Like, there's no, his friends weren't behind him going, ooh, he got you. No, there was none of that, okay? He just made the situation worse for himself.
So went to an establishment to buy some things, went to the self-checkout, scanning my stuff, and I hear somebody say, hurry up, boomer. So I look up to see, hey, who's he talking about? And he's talking about me. And then I was like, I'm not even that old to be a boomer. I'm part of the Oregon Trail generation. And he said, just for you saying that makes you a boomer, you boomer.
Oregon Trail generation. That's what popped in your head right away. Like, I'm gonna zing him with this one. Oregon Trail generation.
That's what I thought, because I thought he probably doesn't even know what the Oregon Trail is. He's probably thinking like the real Oregon Trail.
I mean, first off, the whole "hurry up, boomer" that's a weak line to begin with. Okay, like if you're going to tell somebody that you think is old to move along, "hurry up, boomer" doesn't really. It's not setting the bar high. So both Ians in this situation are wrong. Neither one of Ians really came with some heat. But to turn around and go, I'm part of the Oregon. Like, who reps the Oregon Trail like that? Seriously.
That's what I fall in. That's what I fall in because I'm not Gen Z. I mean, I'm not Gen X and I'm not millennial. I'm just stuck in the little middle, and that's what we're called.
The Oregon Trail generation. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the hardest game in third grade, in school during free period when you were sitting there. It was that and Number Munchers. Those were the two floppy disk games. Yep. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, hop on to Google and type in Number Munchers and Oregon Trail. You can still play it on the computer to this day. But yeah,
in fourth grade came Carmen Sandiego, and that changed the game too.
It changed the game. But you don't clap back with them part of the Oregon Trail.
and then when he said that, I was in the self-realization, was like, wow, that was an old saying. So I was like, from my generation to yours, but he won't understand this. I was like, so you're nothing but a mug, and walked away. I got the best of him. He looked so confused when I said mug. And I was like, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So he would go home to his mommy, what's a mug? And that's what it is. I use my mind, except using my.
You left the heater on the hip. This dude. Oh.
That's where we just took this.
Oh.
Normally, I'm a patient person and I just ignore everything. But he touched the nerve. Don't call me no boomer. Don't call me no boomer.
You hit him with a musket
closer
shot.
to 40. He hit a nerve on that one.
Yeah. Don't call me a boomer.
You hit him with a musket shot. Oh man.
So
I can't. Used to. I step. This is what happens when I go away for a week. I was away a week, and we got these two. I'm glad Jason's picture is next to you because you are just as guilty as he is for what transpired this past week between the two of you. It was unbelievable, man.
Can't take y'all anywhere.
No, not at all. All right. What do we got for the intro? I was sitting there like, and it would just randomly pop into my head from the Oregon Trail. Like you say it with your chest, like Kevin Hart too. It's terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad.
But my generation knows what I'm talking about, so hey, it's cool.
Maybe if you would have hit her with a your mama joke, that would have been maybe a little bit better.
Nah, that ain't me.
No, but repping the Oregon Trail, you're too good for your mama jokes, but you're okay with an Oregon Trail reference.
Left them thinking. That's what I do. I teach the youth.
Oh man, I had something different for the intro for the show today.
I don't know if we can cover anything else in the intro.
Yeah, like we can go. We can
go straight. I got stuff for the intro, so I'll say during the outro because this was too fun.
Let's go. All right. So last week I missed pretty much the most salacious tabloid week ever in pro wrestling. We're not going to rehash it and go back over it. Stuff's ever changing. More stuff's coming out. People are in and out. Power struggle. I mean, you see this with Narco. You see this with you see this with narco teams. You know what I mean? Like this is mafia, old school family business where we got a power struggle going on. It's crazy. But we won't rehash any of that. We got a big pay-per-view tomorrow night. It's going to be a long pay-per-view. So I hope as wrestling fans, if you're excited for this, you better strap in for about 7 hours of wrestling because it's going to be long and loaded, and some of it may be really good, some of it may be really bad, and we'll get into the ins and outs as we run through the card and everything else. But there was a question, and I hope I saved it.
While you're looking for that, I mean, right now we're looking at least a 5-hour pay-per-view because you're going to have probably at least an hour buy-in with 3 matches, and then they're known for doing 4-hour pay-per-views.
So I saw this, and I'm going to read the tweet first. And we can change the tweet to apply it to WWE as well. But with regards to AEW, I saw this. I'm gonna save who tweeted it, but I'm going to read it off to you, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it as kind of a jumping off point to discussing this pay-per-view. It says, creating titles and booking tournaments is easily done in the absence of telling stories and building characters. Is that the perfect definition for what AEW is at this moment in time?
100%.
Yeah. I don't know if I could argue against that.
That was tweeted out by Disco Inferno, who has his takes from time to time. I don't agree with all of them, right? But when I saw that, it immediately put a stamp on this particular time and era for AEW. Now, this pay-per-view is not your normal pay-per-view, right? It's a super show. It's a combined event. Mm-hmm. It's something that we haven't seen done in wrestling since the early 90s, whenever WCW did it out in California. right?
I mean, Ring of Honor and New Japan put on some events together.
Yeah, I
but
guess
not
so.
to this
Okay,
magnitude.
The Garden at Mania a couple years ago was up there.
They would do their global wars every year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like the end all be all. Like I watched Countdown to Forbidden Door last night, and I think Taz said it best where this is fantasy wrestling. You have fantasy football, fantasy baseball, basketball, right? This is fantasy wrestling. You can literally book your fantasy matchups, draft who you want, put them against each other, and it plays out, and we see who wins, right? That's exactly what this is. So I understand what Disco is saying when describing what AEW currently is right now. Macro level, I feel it applies to it more of where they've been leading up to this point, to where we're not getting a lot of stories and character build. And that can be said for WWE as well. And we'll touch on that at the end because I got a few points that will circle back to this tweet with that as well. Just changing certain words in the tweet, but the definition of it will still apply. So from an event standpoint, yes, it's exciting. Are we getting the exact dream matchups that we wanted to see? No, we're not, because you got Omega out, you got Danielson out, Punk's out. So those are arguably your three biggest hitters in AEW, and they're all on the bench right now.
Yeah.
So you got to adjust and do things differently, right?
A couple people, New Japan are out too. The All Atlantic title changed. That picture changed this week. It doesn't remind me exactly. I'm not saying this is like an exact comparison, but it kind of reminds me of whenever WWF and WCW did that invasion angle, and because you couldn't get all the talent because of contracts going on, it's like you couldn't get the dream matches you wanted. And it's a similar situation here.
Hall, Nash, Hogan, Sting, they were all going to sit at home and collect a free paycheck instead of coming in and taking less money. So you didn't have Goldberg. The NWO still hot and heavy. Like they came back in later on, but it wasn't as impactful as it would have been from the jump if they would have came with that invasion. Sting the same way. Like there was all that went into it. As we break it down and look at it, we can definitely get into what they could have done differently, how they could have played it out differently. I know you want to get as many people on the card as possible, which they've done as we'll go through this card. A lot of multi-man matches, and that could be hit or miss, good and bad. That's similar to what New Japan does, right? We see a lot of 3-man tags, 4-man tags. They don't necessarily do a lot of multi-man matches per se per titles, but on regular shows, you're seeing faction versus faction, 3, 4, 5 guys on the apron at the same time. And you're going to have this throughout that card. So I just saw that and I'm like, it's kind of where AEW is at. Now, once they wrap this up, where it goes from here is going to be the pivot for them. Right? They're going to have to turn this corner after this show. Whatever the outcomes are, some are expecting Tanahashi to win and take the AEW belt back to New Japan. Some people are expecting Hangman or Cole to win and keep the IWGP belt here. We'll get into all that, but they're going to have to reset and start building people and characters and stories again, because that's been lacking for a while from them.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot. Like I was saying to Chris and Jason last week, AEW, I don't see no stories at all. Like I'm not interested in anything they have. Like even the stuff they have going themselves, it's just like blah.
I'm on board with the Christian and Jungle Boy in that. I thought Christian's promo Wednesday night was really good and it was not talked about enough as one of those classic promos that people look back on and go, that's a promo. Everybody was like, oh my God, MJF. and MJF got that based off of kind of what he was saying and the language he was using, right? When you call the owner of the company a fucking mark, people are going to be like, "Ooh," right? But Christian, as heel Christian, and what he did Wednesday night is a masterclass in how to generate heat and carry it moving forward to keep the story going. So, like, you can disagree, but that was some of the best work. And not to mention, but he has the best shirt out right now.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I like this shirt a lot.
Yeah.
He went from outwork everyone to worked everyone.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm gonna go order it as soon as we get done with the show today. I saw that. I was like, oh, I'm definitely buying that.
I said to the guys last week, there was a YouTube clip, and it wasn't even on AEW. It was on just a random clip that I found. And it was Christian going to Jungle Boy's mom after the show and calling him a piece of shit. I was like, that should have been part of the show. You really want to get him over with this heat? That should have been on the show.
Yeah, the back and forth they had was tremendous.
Yeah.
And hey, shout out for everybody involved there. Like, he hit some nerves, right? You don't talk about a man's father who passed away, and you go there, and that's, some people will say that's stepping across the line and you're going too far with it. But he did it in a way where it wasn't distasteful, at least in my opinion.
I remember whenever Jim Neidhart passed away, and they did that whole thing with Natty. They talked about her dad after he passed away, and it's just like, yes, that's going to hit a nerve, but I'm sure if Natty or Jungle Boy didn't approve that ahead of time, it wouldn't be talked about, So
right.
it's like,
they
absolutely
have to be
okay with that.
And I don't think his mother and sister sitting there in the audience, if they hear that and don't know that that's coming, you're going to get a completely different reaction and then sitting there giving a middle finger, right? Like, that's human nature dictates that you're going to react differently if you don't know that that's coming, right? So when it says work to everyone, and we say here everything's a work, but yeah, I mean, that's just to point one example out, like, as far as something that's going on that I'm interested in right now. That to me is right there.
I'll at least give them credit for Wardlow too, for how over he's been for weeks. So
Wardlow Bill has been great. I like the stuff with the baddies and Statlander and Athena. Them adding Willow, I like that. See where that's going. So there are a couple.
I didn't know
things.
that. I didn't watch Rampage last night, so I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So yeah, I'm all for that kind of. Though there are some examples, but overall, overarching, if you're looking at it as a whole, I think what Disco tweeted out is pretty much a great summary of where they've been at since Double or Nothing. We created a new title, we're just booking matches. And
you had the Owen Hart tournament, so you had men and women with that for how many weeks, and then you go into the Mid-Atlantic and the interim tournament. Yeah,
so I mean, and they're great. Like, there were various factors that, like the interim title stuff, the series and all that was brought on due to injury, so you had to change and adjust accordingly. But when you look at it overall from the bird's eye view, it can be looked upon as, hey, we're not telling stories and getting people interested with characters. We're just booking dream matches and playing fantasy wrestling, which Taz said last night on the countdown, like I said before. So
I mentioned to Donald before the show. It's like we have Forbidden Door tomorrow night. Wednesday night's Blood and Guts. So that should hopefully wrap some stuff up. So next week will be July. So they have July, all of August. And then All Out will be, the first weekend of September. So you have 2 full months to book a pay-per-view. There is a Battle of the Belts thrown in there early August right now. But are they going to build? Are they going to take all 2 months to build to the pay-per-view? Because they haven't lately.
No, and like I said, this applies to WWE too, because they've already announced the main event for SummerSlam and another match for SummerSlam last night.
And they've given you the main event for Clash at the Castle too.
So you're talking 6 weeks to SummerSlam. That main event set, you already know you're going to have McAfee and Corbin as well. So there's no you've already announced the matches. granted, Brock and Roman has been done so much. There's not another story that you can tell.
No.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give you a semi-pass on that. But the fact that you're announcing it 6 weeks in advance, maybe you're trying to drum up ticket sales because
Probably.
those tickets aren't moving either, right? But to do McAfee and Corbin, and it's going to be like that promo last night, that pad cut, it's set in stone that they're wrestling at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
So you've taken any story along the way and you've just diluted it completely because we know we're getting the match 6 weeks in advance. So it does nothing to get me. You're not building me and taking me on the ride to where the go home show or the week before or 2 weeks before I get this match and go, okay, I'm buying the card based off of this. And that's a problem across the board for WWE and AEW with what they've done lately, building up the pay-per-views.
At least WWE's I don't know if I'm going to sit there and say that we know it. I mean, yeah, we know it. Not that we enjoy it. But we're almost conditioned to know that they're only building pay-per-view to pay-per-view. They're not, for the most part, they're not really doing 3 months or whatever because they don't have it. There's, especially in July, you have pay-per-view first weekend of July, pay-per-view the last weekend of July. So it's like we know that they're not going to be taking their time with these stories, but
and that was supposed to be the difference in AEW because they were only doing 4 a year.
Exactly.
And even whenever they announced, okay, we have our 4 set, but we're going to add in 4 quarterly specials. Okay, so that's 8. That still leaves you time to build, right?
And these quarterly specials aren't even big events. They're an hour, so they're only doing 2 or 3 matches on that show. So there's still stuff they could build towards.
So it's just it's interesting, and I really want to see where they go after this pay-per-view tomorrow night because given the injuries and the lineup and the card, people aren't maybe as interested in this. I saw a lot of that on the timeline this week. Not really buying this one. I'm going to sit this one out. I don't really care about New Japan. They haven't done a good job of explaining who these guys are. Like, okay, I can somewhat give you a pass on it. This is your diehard hardcores. But even with that, I saw, and I sent it over in the group chat last night, scalpers are unloading tickets for like $6 now.
Wow.
Remember, that was the highest ticket
when
they announced it.
So that just goes to show you from the time that it was announced to the day before how much it's fallen off based on injuries and the matchups that we got announced, right? So, all right. With all that being said, let's run through this card.
Okay.
Give our predictions, hit, misses, match of the night, etc., and go from there.
We got 3 buy-in matches, so we'll take care of those first.
These are going to be quick on the buy-in. We're not spending time discussing these because they were all thrown together last night.
First one, we got Max Caster and the Gun Club versus, I'm not even going to try to butcher some of these names.
I'm not familiar with much of the guys from New Japan here that are listed. Alex Coughlin, I know a little bit of. DKC was on Rampage last night against Hook. I'm actually enjoying the Acclaimed and the Gun Club together.
Right?
Yes.
I am. I like the, and they called Colton and them out last night for being idiots. Like, we're not going to Tokyo Dome. We're in Chicago, but I like the vibe and the interaction that I'm getting with the group right now. So we'll see where it goes. I think it's a good use of Bowens while he's injured to keep him on TV. They did it with Britt and they're doing it with him as well. They saw the same thing with Ricky Starks. So that I'll give them credit for. So yeah, I'll go with Max and the Gun Club here.
I'm going Max and the Gun Club. They are my entertainment and only entertainment in AEW right now. They do a lot better entertaining me than the Jericho Society.
Oh, absolutely.
This whole super card, right? When we get down to it, as far as wins and losses per company, okay, this is where you're going to see how the negotiations went. Where, like, who decided who's going to go over here, why, what's some of the bigger plans potentially for people who may be sticking around from New Japan. Like, that's more of the nerdy wrestler stuff that I'm looking for whenever I watch this card tomorrow night. And that's just, like I said, it's me being a nerd for pro wrestling, but that's what, like, that's going to be more of the interesting thing to me than maybe even the matchup per se itself.
Yeah, because you're going to see it's a completely different style over there. So you're going to sit there and see, okay, like, yeah, you can have a good match in AEW, but can you have a good match with a New Japan talent? And if they can pull it off, their stock rises on that a little bit more, so.
All right, next.
I'm going to go with the Factory versus Chaos.
I got Chaos.
Haven't heard from the Factory in months. Chaos.
For the Factory. Win. I just saw the Factory. They were on a different program recently, and I forget what it was, but yeah, I got to go with Chaos too.
Yeah, I mean, I like Goto and Yoshihashi, so I'm going with them for that reason, that reason, and only that reason.
All right, I think this would be a match that everybody's interested in. We got Swerve in Our Glory versus Suzuki Gun.
Yeah, to me, this is just another step in the story that's being told between Swerve and Keith. And it's been a low-key story because they've done some of it on Dark and Elevation. So if you're not watching all of it, you're only getting what you see on Dynamite. You may be missing some notes to the story, right? Which is a shame because a lot of people don't have time to watch all of that wrestling, right? We already have enough as it is, but you want me to add in Dark and Elevation plus Dynamite plus Rampage. You don't got time in a week to watch just AEW, let alone other promotions. I love Swerve and Keith together, so I'll go with them kind of on this story of getting on the back on the same page, and hopefully it leads to, a title shot down the line for them too.
Swerve in Our Glory.
Yeah, just kind of my point from before. I think Swerve and Keith Lee, both ran the independent circuit for a long time, so they've had talent with many different types of people. So I think they're just going to prove why they are one of the best teams right now. I'll go with them.
Swerve's had matches on New Japan Strong, so I mean he's wrestled Jay White, so like he's familiar with the Japanese style. I don't know if Keith Lee has had any time in Japan. I know he talked about whenever he was on Jericho's podcast about wanting to go to Japan and be like the next big guy over there. Along like the Vaders and Hansons and that Brodies from that ilk. But yeah, Swerve in My Glory.
All right, so that's it for the buy-in. So now we're going to get into the main card. We'll go non-title matches first, and then we'll get into title matches as we go on.
Works for me.
So let's start off with Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki versus Kingston, Yuta, and Yumino.
I'm not interested in this at all. Like, here's my thing, right? Wednesday, they ended the show with Pandemonium and Breakdown and all-out Rumble while Moxley and Tanahashi just stood across from each other in the ring, like, which made no sense.
Yes.
Blew my mind that they just stood there and stared at each other when all this other chaos is going on, especially because Moxley was involved with stuff with the JAS, and he's going to be in Blood and Guts against them next week. So, like,
exactly.
That made no sense.
It was 2 weeks in a row of this almost the same exact confusing ass segment.
Yep.
So you have that, and then you end Rampage the same way with just chaos and pandemonium and breakdown. And although Eddie Kingston attacking Jericho at the commentary booth and stealing Shivani's pen, trying to stab him in the head to draw blood, that was pretty good. But other than that, it was the same exact ending as you had on Wednesday night. So you bookended each show the same way. Why not save the pandemonium and the chaos and the breakdown for last night and just leave off with Moxley and Tanahashi staring each other down?
Yeah.
Because that's your main event.
Yeah,
it would have been more effective booking.
Yeah, I'm with Steve on this. Like, I'm not interested in this. As I always say, anytime I see Jericho and Kingston face off with each other, it's just grown men screaming at each other.
We talked last week about that segment, how it fell flat and everything. And I watched this week the ending, and I'm just sitting there going, I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Like, it made no sense at all. And then I went on Twitter and I saw some people talking about how it was both sides. Everybody was like, that was such a WCW ending. And people were just like, I loved it. And then you got the other people, that was such a WCW ending. That was awful. That's like why it sucked. And I'm sitting there going, I was like, okay, so I guess it depends on preference. But for me, it fell flat again.
I feel bad for Suzuki and Shada in this one from New Japan. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Although
like,
I will say this, I am very looking forward to Suzuki and Kingston standing in the middle of the ring and just forearming and slapping the shit out of each other. Give me that match.
And Yuta.
Take everybody else away. Just give me Kingston and Suzuki, and I'd be happy.
I mean, yeah, Suzuki will be the star of this match.
So I don't coin flip. Take who you want. I'll go with Jericho, Sammy, and Suzuki.
I don't care.
I don't care either, but yeah, I'll go with Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki because I like Suzuki. But all right, kind of another match that I really don't care about either. But we got the Bullet Club of El Phantasmo, Hikuleo, and the Young Bucks versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Takahashi and Takahashi.
So this is your old Survivor Series name game for teams, right? Yeah. Dudes with Attitude. That's a 92 Survivor Series name if I've ever heard it in my life.
95, because wasn't that Shawn and Diesel? Two dudes with attitude?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Actually. Yeah, I'm this was just announced last week, so it's like to me, Matt and Nick going back to the Bullet Club should be a bigger deal. After everything that transpired, them leaving, starting AEW and everything else, them coming back into the fold to join Bullet Club for one night only, it should have been made to feel like a bigger deal. But it was just an offset and a way to get them on the card after you have them win the tag team titles because you don't have nobody for them to face.
It kind of reminds me
of if we're doing this winner take, if we're doing this winner take all tag team title match, why isn't it the Young Bucks? Mm-hmm. Why aren't all three titles on the line? ROH, IWGP, and the AEW belt.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a swerve in here to maybe continue the Bullet Club versus the Super Elite and kind of start that road. I could be wrong, but we need some type of swerve on here. I don't think you're just getting straight up wins and losses. Yeah. There has to be something to come out of this pay-per-view besides, a title change where one company's belt goes halfway around the world. I'll go with Bullet Club.
I'll go with the dudes with attitude. Just because I think a face needs to win by this point in the night.
Yeah. Steve, to your point before, I think this is to me, this is almost like whenever WWE will throw together something like, a Shield reunion for one night or an Evolution reunion for one night, just because it's something. It's just like, that's all they're doing with this. Like,
yeah,
I agree. It should have been a bigger deal, especially with everything between the Super Elite, the Undisputed Elite, and the Bullet Club right now.
Yeah, and especially because you have Adam Cole and Jay White in Fatal 4-Way. So, there's threads and tie-ins across the board between Bullet Club past and present members. And it's for it just to be thrown in like this. And I like Hikuleo, and I really like El Phantasmo. So, if you guys aren't familiar with either one of those two, strap in and watch because you'll get a treat. We've seen Hikuleo a little bit, but El Phantasmo, he definitely brings it. So, yeah, Sting will do some crazy shit. Darby will do some crazy shit.
Tanahashi definitely will do some crazy shit.
Yeah, you're looking for your
You need
car
to watch
crash
that neck,
spot
though.
pick,
Yeah, Takahashi, yeah.
yeah, and please, Hikuleo, do not do any over the top rope to tope suicidas where you almost spike yourself like you did a couple weeks ago. I don't need that from anybody.
No. All right, we go on that.
Yep.
All right, so let's go into Zack Sabre Jr. versus to be announced. Who does everybody think will be the mystery opponent here?
I really wanted to see Zach and Danielson go at it. Like that was when this was first announced. That was probably the match that I said first as far as pairing. It just worked in every way possible. Danielson didn't say why he's out, but rumor and innuendo was he suffered a concussion and the Anarchy in the arena match. So they're being overly cautious with that. Don't know if it's true or not, but if it is, it's kind of like, are you proving WWE right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't even been there a year and you've already suffered a concussion that put you out time wrestling the way that you wanted to wrestle. So,
and he always said, like, whenever he came back, he was changing his style up, and just like he hasn't really changed his style up all that much. Like he's still very intense in his wrestling. The
intensity is fine. Just doing those type of matches, he doesn't need to be involved in because they're so. Anytime you get hit with a trash can, whether it's a dented in one or regardless, like you can still get a concussion hit with a trash can. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Him and Hangman, him and Omega were perfect examples of he focused more on the technical aspects in those matches instead of anything else, and that's what I'd rather see from him.
Yeah. So as far as to be announced goes, I saw a lot of Cesaro.
Yeah.
Gargano, I've seen a lot of.
See now Gargano. So
now they did say that whoever comes in is part of the BCC. So.
And we got technical plus bringing violence. So to me, that's not really Gargano. You know what I mean? Like the way Danielson talked this guy up on Wednesday, he can fit both roles, and that's why he's bringing him in, and he's the only guy he trusts to do it. So to me, Gargano doesn't really fit. They really don't have a past relationship that I'm aware of. Cesaro would make the most sense from a technical wrestling standpoint because him and Zach would put on a hell of a match.
Yeah.
But I don't really see Cesaro in the blood and guts style.
Yeah.
Not that he can't do it, but it's never really been his bag. So honestly, I have no idea, and I hope it doesn't leak out beforehand because I'm generally interested in seeing a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Forbidden Door, here I come.
You going?
Here he is. Dave will be there.
You probably caught one of those $6 tickets.
Yeah, shit. If I didn't know they would have dropped the $6, I would have paid the flight price and got the ticket for $6, and it would have been a wash. Like,
we need to get that tunnel that they've been talking about building, from Pittsburgh to Chicago. This way, we could have gone.
Yeah, we'll see that in 2047. Like, good luck.
If that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm generally interested in a surprise, and we'll see if they actually hit on it because, like when Andrade just came back, it was a surprise as the Joker, but it really didn't hit because it was somebody that was already in the company, even though he was away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see, but they're going to have to be able to do both, and there's not too many people that are out there that I can think of that can fit both style of matches and work as far as moving forward with the BCC if they're going to be involved with them going forward, like you said, Chris. So I don't know, but
yeah,
give me Zach.
I'll take Zach. Well, I'm like with Steve. I don't know who the mystery opponent is going to be. It could be vacant. Hell, it could be Danielson because everything is work now. Every injury's work. Could be even be him.
Oh,
But
how
I
good
don't
would that be? How good would that be? He was talking about himself and his music hits. That would
Does
be
Daniel Bryan
tremendous.
come out?
Yeah, so I'm going Zach. It would be cool if Willer Yuta wasn't here. You know,
If
except
he wasn't already in a match.
yeah, if he wasn't in that trash of a match earlier.
You know he's only 24.
Yuta?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's got a career ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it just goes to show you when you look down their roster how many young talents they have that are going to be staples for them for the next 10 to 15 years.
Hopefully.
If they use them. They use them.
So, but yeah,
I'm going to go mystery opponent. You don't bring someone in and especially if they're going to be in the BCC, I think you got to put that exclamation point on them. So I'm going to go whoever the mystery opponent is, and I'll go Cesaro for it. I'd like to see him. He's been out long enough now.
Yeah, I mean, he was out long enough. People were pegging him to come in at Double or Nothing. So
yeah,
we'll see.
All righty, so that's it for regular matches. So now we're heading all into title matches from here on out. We'll kick this off with the AEW Women's World Championship: Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm.
I'm intrigued for the matchup because I think they can go out there and have a banger. I like what Toni's done since she's come in and where she's at right now. I think she's in a good place right now. This title run for Thunder, and I know injury played a role in it whenever it first started as to why she wasn't out there and doing her thing the way she normally does, but it just hasn't clicked. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good example as the chase with the babyface was way better than the babyface's champ. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know if you can consider Toni to be a heel. Like, she's a fan favorite. You know what I mean? Like, so it'll be interesting to see how they actually wrestle this match. Who's going to be the heel? Who's going to be the face? I wouldn't necessarily put the belt on Toni yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make a change. Just given some of the behind the stage stuff with Thunder and some comments she's made, how she's been unhappy with her use and everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised if the title change. I would keep it on Thunder personally, but I can't be mad if they go in a different direction here.
Yeah, I'm picking Thunder to win because I like to see Toni with the belt, but it's just Thunder haven't had a run with it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you come off of probably the hottest champion in AEW, Britt Baker, who's on TV every week cutting a promo, sometimes twice, being on Rampage and Dynamite. It's just like you go from that to not doing a whole lot with Thunder. It's just like it does come off flat. But we said kind of like the same thing. It's like maybe that was the same example of when we were talking about like Hangman's title run being a little bit lackluster. It's like you had Omega, heavily focused every week to go into Hangman then afterwards. But yeah, I've seen the backstage stuff too. I don't know. I'd be surprised if they took the belt off of her, but it's you never know with the backstage stuff. How that really goes into effect. I'm gonna go with Thunder to retain. I don't know if I'd put the title on Toni just yet, but
I think the belt is getting overlooked. I mean, underused. Like the TBS title is more of a women's title than the women's title is right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jade is definitely she's elevated that belt, and they've booked her like perfectly. Like she has made that belt neck and neck as far as prestige and quality goes as being comparable to the AEW women's title, and that could just be because of the two women that are holding each belt right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the story going on with the TBS title is like good, like okay, a lot of contenders for it and everything. Just like this is just.
And I don't think I would have expected to say that when Thunder won the belt either. You know what I mean? Like when she beat Britt, if you would have said, okay, however many months later, you'd be sitting there and saying that Jade's TBS title is just as important or maybe even more over than Thunder's AEW Women's title, I'd have said you're crazy. But to each his own. And right now, I'd say that TBS title is in a higher regard right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they're building up that group, and that's a benefit to AEW right now. They keep building that up. All right, and on to the next one. We're going to go into the winner-take-all ROH and IWGP Tag Team Championship. So we got FTR, United Empire, and Roppongi Vice.
This is a sneaker for match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are sleeping on Roppongi Vice. Don't. If you're not familiar with what they did in New Japan, brush up on your history. They did a good job of explaining who they are and what they've accomplished last night on the Countdown, the Forbidden Door, which they'll replay again tomorrow before the show. So definitely watch that. Like I said, we're doing for all the gold, winner take all, but I would nothing against Roppongi Vice, but throw the Young Bucks in there if you want to make this for all the gold. Like, let's really make it for all the gold. I got FTR. I know Cobb and Great O'Khan just won the belts, and they literally won them a week ago at Dominion. So 2 weeks later, you're gonna have them drop, but I can't see FTR losing this match. Not with the year that they've had, the matches they've had together as a tag team and individually singles. Cash and Cobb last night was great. Love that match. Dax is on a whole nother level, and maybe my argument come the year end, the remaining 6 months, he might be up there for Wrestler of the Year based on what he does the last 6 months, because the first 6 months of the year, he's been on fire. So I got FTR winning this match and being the AAA All champs, the ROH champs, and the IWGP champs.
Yep, same thing. I have FTR winning. They have everything. They have all the titles. They got the fans backing them. They're having one hell of a year. FTR.
This is my pick for a match of the night too. I think if you've ever watched New Japan pay-per-view, you know how well the tag matches can be executed on there. And I think these teams are definitely the right fit for this match. And yeah, I'd be very surprised if FTR didn't walk out with the championships. One thing with New Japan, they don't mind changing titles quick. They like to do, sometimes they'll like to do long runs, but I've watched events where new champions are crowned on one, and then the next day they crown new champions of the same title. So it wouldn't surprise me if United Empire dropped the belt. So FTR for the win for me.
Yeah, we got another FTR pick there from Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they're on fire, right?
Yep.
They are.
We'll have another pod where we debate best tag team in the world right now, because it can be discussed and broken down.
I think we had talked about next week. Right now, this weekend will end, the first half of the year. So next week we can sit there and talk about, favorite stuff for the first 6 months of the year before we do, the best of the year at the end of the year.
Yeah, that might be it. I'm a good showcase there to run through that.
All right, up next we got the IWGP United States Championship, Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy.
So apparently this match was the match for Ospreay. Like this, Tony Khan came out and said that he's had these two in mind for a while. I just don't get it looking at it. And it's like I know Cassidy can wrestle, right?
Yeah.
Like the gimmick is the gimmick, but the man can actually wrestle. Ospreay's not everybody's cup of tea. I saw some shots thrown out there by Omega this week at Ospreay, so that feud is still going on. And Kenny was definitely he was politically correct in the way he said it, but it was definitely shots fired at Will and basically saying Will is not the star he thinks he is. But this is a sleeper match for match of the night. If you want a dark horse, don't be shocked if at the end of this, you're like, holy shit, like kind of like an MJF Darby situation where you weren't thinking it, but after you watched it, you were like, "Damn, that was the best shit on the card." I'm not going to argue somebody if after this pay per view's over and they say Ospreay and Cassidy killed it. I'm going to go Ospreay here.
I'm gonna go Ospreay because he's their U.S. champ, and Juice Robinson still got the belt.
We'll get it back unless they gave him a brand new one that he wore out this week, or was that the?
That was the Rev Pro title.
That was the Rev Pro belt that he won.
Yeah,
okay.
Juice still got it. Yeah, and I'm this is gonna be my match of the night, but I'm still not a believer in Orange Cassidy at all. I'm not a believer in his gimmick. I'm not a believer in his wrestling skills. I'm just not a believer.
I like Cassidy. I mean, it's just not. Like you, Steve. This match just doesn't. I wouldn't think that would be what you put on paper. But we've seen what Ospreay did with Ricochet in New Japan, so maybe that's what Tony Khan's picturing in his mind. Not that Cassidy is equal to Ricochet, but just something. Probably a spot fest is what you're going to see in here.
And
Will Styles grounded now a lot.
Yeah.
So
you saw how divided the internet was with that match.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get your Cornettes and everybody else coming out talking about this match and how it killed wrestling. But then there's going to be people that will say this was the best match on the card. So again, Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. You like what you like, you don't what you don't, and it is what it is. But would not be surprised if this one at the end of the night you go, that was my favorite match.
Definitely has that potential. We'll go into the All Atlantic Championship now. So this one changed. We got Pac, Miro, Malachi Black, and now Clark Connors.
So
I don't know nothing about Clark Connors.
Yeah, me either.
Connors is solid. This is where preparation, luck equals preparation plus opportunity, right? This is where a spot where he can add some serious name value to his name by coming in and holding his own in this match. When they first announced this bracket and I saw that it was going to be a 4-man, initially I was like, oh, this is going to be match of the night when it's all said and done, based off of the names that were in the bracket and how they were going to play it out. Ishii, would I have liked him a little bit more in this match? Maybe, but him and Miro are kind of similar as far as style and what they do. I'm going to go with Miro to win this. Put the belt on the Redeemer. He did a tremendous job with the TNT title. I think he'll do a tremendous job with the All Atlantic title, even though Pac is probably the most deserving of a belt in AEW that has not had one yet, which is criminal to say. Take COVID out, and I think he would have had a belt by now, but I'm a huge fan of Miro and what he's done, and this entire run of him in AEW has been fantastic. So give me Miro for the win here.
Yep. Again, I'm with Steve. Give me Miro for the win. I mean, him with the title, how he talks about the title, how he talks about his God in the promos, 100% all in with that.
I'm with you guys and see exactly what you said. Pac and Miro. Pac's been day one. I mean, it's like here he is, day one since the company. Again, COVID changed a lot of stuff, but he should have had a title by now, at least a TNT title run. But by this point, but I think this title could be the best fit for him. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going like, Miro had a great run with the TNT title, and he's been hitting just as good as he was before he got injured or had to take a break. And he's come back, and I'm enjoying everything he's doing again. And just like, honestly, I don't know if I can pick one or the other because I want to see both of them have the title. But I think I'm just going to go Pac just because I think he's more deserving of it right now. But I think Miro would have a great run too.
Now, this title is supposed to be like an international flair to it where it's going to be more international matchups, more challenges, more overseas type stuff. So Miro, given the fact that he just filmed the TV show and all of that, wouldn't it be better to put it on Pac. Dave's tremendous. Tupac.
I got nothing after that. All right, we'll go into
Chris, drop me out for a sec.
Okay. All right, we'll head into the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Got a Fatal 4-Way. Got champion Jay White, Okada, Hangman Page, and Adam Cole.
I think for this belt, it only should have been a one-on-one with somebody. This belt is too prestigious to have a Fatal 4-Way. And I think two people on this list shouldn't even be nowhere near even think about touching this belt. And that's Hangman and Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you were building this up for a few weeks, and it's just then like White comes in and goes, nope, I'm not giving you either of you the title match, and then Okada comes in and now they're in the match. It's like, like I don't know, just back and forth storyline, and it's like, and I'm sure probably visas and things like that came into play of why Okada couldn't come in till this week, but and that's fine. But yeah, just like the build up for it, hopefully, I think the match will be better than the build up at the end of the day. Who do you think? Who you got in this match?
I only see Jay White and Okada in this match at all. I do not see the other two whatsoever. And then out of that, I think you just keep the belt on Jay White. I do. I think you just let Okada run the G1 and all that stuff and build him up towards Wrestle Kingdom again. Because he's going to take his time off. So what? He's going to win the title, then he's going to lose it again, then take his time off. That shouldn't even be a run. So I think Jay White for the win.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that was the one thing where everybody was expecting Okada to drop the belt here, not against Jay White a few weeks ago. So I think that was a whole thing. You know, had Okada retained and brought in the title for this pay-per-view, you know, it might have been a different story. But yeah, with Jay White as champ, I don't know if he's dropping it. You know, the rumor has been, you know, a lot of people talking about Hangman and Adam Cole win the title, but I would like to see Hangman or Adam Cole win the belt in this match. But yeah, I just don't know if they're gonna drop it from Jay White just yet.
This is one of the matches where I think whenever they first announced this card, this is not what they had in mind.
No, I'm sure.
Like, I don't think they envisioned a 4-way for the IWGP title whenever this was initially announced. Again, with Jay White and Adam Cole, you got the Bullet Club Super Elite. You can kind of carry that depending on what the Bucks do earlier on in the show. Like, that's a thread that you can carry on. I agree with what you guys said for the most part. Jay White, love him or hate him, the man is what he is in pro wrestling, and he's one of the best out there on the mic and in the ring. He's on a level right now. So I would definitely keep it on him. I feel kind of bad for Okada in this scenario. Just like first time in the States in a while, and you're putting his 4-way, like, to me, he's the star of stars that needs to be showcased in a one-on-one match.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not that Page or Cole couldn't give him that one-on-one match, but it just wouldn't have the Super Bowl feel to it as some of the other people that are out injured that may have, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Would you got an Okada Omega 6 or whatever number it would have been up to? Like, so yeah.
Oh, been a 10-star match.
Hopefully it's not like a one and done for him. Hopefully we see Okada again, but
yeah,
I would keep it on Jay right now.
That was my favorite part of Dynamite this week. When I heard those coins drop.
Yes.
I was like, all right, here we go. Like,
that was for me. That was it as well.
And it was saying it was only a couple of days out. Like, I wish it would have been like the week before, so you get more build up with him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they set it up. They laid the table to where people doubted him coming on the show. Like, we talked about it as well. Like, his wife's expecting. He was supposed to take time off, even though he's announced for the G1. Like, there was stuff laid down to cast some doubt as to whether or not he actually would be on the pay-per-view. He cut a great promo on the countdown last night. Basically said, let everybody else say what they want to say, but you don't have this without me. Because Omega's not the star that he is because I made him the star that he is. I'm the guy in all of pro wrestling, and he has been the guy in all of pro wrestling for a very long time. But people in the States don't say that because they don't watch New Japan. Anybody that watches wrestling around the world, Okada's in your top 3, if not number 1 across the board. Period, hands down.
Sure.
When this event was announced, that was the only reason why I really wanted to go to it. Was because it was just like seeing Okada live is a bucket list item for me, and I need to see that at some point. And
for any wrestling fan, absolutely.
When we went to New York, for WrestleMania a couple years ago, and they did the MSG show, it's like we were talking like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, we got the tickets for the Hall of Fame because we got the travel package, but do we just want to go see Ring of Honor instead? And it's just like, I'm glad we went to the Hall of Fame because it was entertaining, but it's like at the same time, Okada won the title that night. And it's just like, if I would have seen that live, I think that would just been probably one of my top wrestling moments live of all time.
And he went back from his pants to his trunks that night.
Yeah.
They're making a big issue about that.
So you had true Okada that night. But at some point I need to see him live. And now that they're touring back over here again, it's got to happen.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Like I said, I think the thread of the night, if you're watching closely, will be Bullet Club and Super Elite to lead into maybe something at Forbidden Door, or we talked about Tony Khan talked about people going over to New Japan, and being able to do that now. Some people were referencing online yesterday. They'll do the Forbidden Door 2, and it'll be in the Tokyo Dome.
Hey, if they're doing 3 days again, I wouldn't mind that.
You do Wrestle Kingdom. What's the show
New Year's
after
Dash.
Wrestle Kingdom?
New Year's Dash.
New Year's Dash and Forbidden Door. If you line that up, and by that time maybe you'll have everybody back, so you can get Omega returning to New Japan in Japan. You can get the Young Bucks returning to New Japan in Japan.
This year they did, what was it? Night 1's always on the 4th because that's Tokyo Dome show.
Yes.
And they did night 1 on the 4th, night 2 on the 5th, and then I think night 3 was a couple days later. And then and then they did like in a different place. Like, they didn't do it at the Tokyo Dome. They just called that. And then then they did New Year's Dash after that. So if they would do 3 nights again, I think I would rather see that. Wrestle Kingdom, Forbidden Door, New Year's Dash. There's your 3 nights. Doing it. I like that booking a whole lot better than doing 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom.
It'll be something if, say, if Jay White wins, everybody leaves the ring except for Okada. They give him a standing O, and he's like, "Oh, thanks for having me," and all that stuff. And Kenny's music hits.
Kenny's music hits,
just for a little stare down, just to give you like, we have unfinished business with each other. Long story, long-term booking.
I am never not going to turn down an Omega Okada match.
No.
There's just some people when they get in the ring together, it's just instant classics.
Yes, chemistry.
And for whatever reason, they just work. Omega Okada, honestly, Cena and AJ have that too. Like, those two together in the ring are not going to have a bad match. Period.
Cena and Orton had it.
They ran that into the ground to where people got sick and tired of it. But that was also, New Day and the Usos. Like, I'm never not going to – that's always going to be a banger. Like, there's just people and teams that match up, and just the chemistry is off the chart. So
Rock and Stone Cold.
Yes.
title, no title,
Mhm.
in an Army bingo hall at the Tokyo Dome. I don't care. I'll watch Omega Okada wherever it is.
WrestleMania 19 felt like a title match, and it wasn't, just because of the two people in it.
Yes.
All right, time for the main event. Got the interim AEW World Championship. Got Jon Moxley versus Tanahashi.
They did a really good job again on the countdown last night to establish Tanahashi and make him feel like the superstar that he is. Because make no
They didn't
mistake
do it on
about
TV.
I can't even say nothing. Like,
it's true.
I mean, Excalibur tried putting him over in JR too to an extent, but the way they booked him in the ring, it didn't really. You didn't get that come across the screen. You can hear the words that they're saying, but Tanahashi is like John Cena and Stone Cold multiplied over in Japan. Like, he is that guy for them, for that company. The mega star that he is, they call him once in a generation pro wrestler. I mean, if you're labeled as once in a generation, you're pretty damn good. Like, that's not a moniker that they just put out there for anybody to be known as.
I think I started watching New Japan around Wrestle Kingdom 8, maybe somewhere around there, 8 or 9. It was when AJ was champ, but that's when I first started watching it. That's how people were describing. He was John Cena. Rainmaker was Orton. Just to get you to compare where they fit in the company.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm going Tanahashi. I would rather see Tanahashi. I don't need another Moxley run right now. He got other stuff going on. I don't need it. If you give the belt to Tanahashi and they run a little feud afterwards, and because Moxley's been in New Japan before, I got no problem with that. But I don't need Moxley holding the belt. And the whole title switches between companies, maybe that changed given how things have played out.
Mm-hmm.
But to leave the pay-per-view with Tanahashi holding up the AEW world title and you don't know where it's going to go. Is he staying? Is he going back to New Japan? What's going to happen? Who's going to be the next feud? How will it play out? And plus, it's freaking Tanahashi. It's Tanahashi. There's not too many names. We just talked about Okada, but there's not too many names over the course of a career that have had a better career than Tanahashi. And any pro wrestler will tell you that, not just a fan.
No.
Pro wrestlers know Moxley's not holding Tanahashi in the regard that he does just because it's to build up the story. It's no. Wrestlers feel that way about that man. So when he's as revered as from his peers as he is around the globe, not just in New Japan, but around the globe, he's a guy. I got no problem with Tanahashi winning this match.
I have Tanahashi winning this match 100%. Just because Moxley's not going to get another run. I don't like Moxley, so that's a reason too. And plus, I want to see the AEW title gone from AEW for a bit. They had Omega take other promotions titles, and they had no titles for a bit, so why not take their belt? I want to see him go over to New Japan and defend it until AEW start getting stuff situated right. I don't want to see no belt, no AEW world title on.
And it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but still, as for short amount of time, it'll make a better story.
It just makes sense that when Punk comes back, you have Tanahashi Punk, which was what they were
original.
Which was the original. So I don't need Punk and Moxley. I don't need two AEW guys wrestling for the AEW title. I don't need that. So Tanahashi's been calling out Punk for ducking him for damn near a decade. Let me see it. Let me see it. I'm way more intrigued by it. So
it's when this all started, it's my argument was, okay, do you put the title on somebody that's not in the company because they're not in the company. But if this is actually going to be a partnership, between the two groups, I don't mind that. The same hit you just right there, taking the first sip.
I cracked it
12%
open.
hits, huh?
I cracked it open because we're getting ready to talk about WWE and the shit show that they've been.
The one thing that I'm glad that they didn't put the interim title on somebody, like a younger star, and just kind of like brush them off with the belt, in a couple weeks. So I am glad with the two people that they got in there. I don't need to see another Moxley run. I'd much rather see Tanahashi take the title. I think Tanahashi Punk at All Out sells better than Punk and Moxley, but I might be in the minority on that too. So
the back of that can says sharing is key, and you definitely have to share that drink. You can't finish all that by yourself. There's no way. There's no way. Oh.
We drank that. We drank that like by the end of the show. We were all sitting there going like, "Man, it's getting hot in here."
Yo, if Vicians finished that, I salute you because that is not easy. There's no way. All right, so that's it. That's the card. We got the breakdown. Any additional thoughts, feelings, anything?
I know I said my match of the night. Did you guys?
Yeah, I had the U.S. title, Ospreay and Cassidy.
It's hard to pick against Okada, Jay White, Cole, and Page. Like that's just hard to do. I'm disappointed that we have like that's a fatal 4-way, and also the All Atlantic's a fatal 4-way. Like to me,
same match.
Yeah. Just because I initially picked the All Atlantic final to be match of the night, I'll stick with that. Okay. But that tag team title match, FTR, Roppongi, and United Empire.
What do you put on first? Because I'm thinking either the All Atlantic or the winner take all tag title.
I'll say the All Atlantic.
Okay.
New title.
Or do you go Bullet Club versus the Survivor Series? Bullet Club Attitude. Because that's going to be... But Young Bucks do like to go on first sometimes, so...
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Jericho and them come out first as well, but I don't know. Like... And that's the other thing. Like, how do you format and lay out this card to take people on the ride? Because initially, when you get this type of announcement, you're just thinking, this is like, I'm not going to be able to sit down for 6 hours because it's dream match against dream match against dream match.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's going to be some ebbs and flows in it, so I will be interested to see how they lay it out. The All Atlantic's not a bad choice to kick off the night. We saw NXT for the longest time run with the formula where they started off with the tag team match.
Yeah.
And that was always the banger that set the tone for the pay-per-view. So honestly, I'm not going to be too picky about where they put things on the card itself.
As long as it, like you said, as long as it flows.
I'm just glad I can see New Japan at our time and not like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Or watching it later on the next day.
Yeah.
New Japan World after it's already happened. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Couple quick things WWE wise. We're not going to get into a whole lot. We've already touched on the announcement of the main event for SummerSlam being 6 weeks in advance. Announcing another match. I will say the bright spot for WWE right now, and the match that I'm most looking forward to on the show next week, honestly, is Ronda and Natty. They've done a really good job with this feud between them two. And last night I wasn't expecting what I got last night based off of what was stated, because there were leaks that the segment had planned for a fake baby. And we saw Natty with the stroller, but there was no baby in the stroller, which, given everything that happened yesterday, I think that's a smart move because the PR that WWE's had the last couple of weeks, if they had done that, yeah. But yeah, that's probably what I'm most interested in going into Money in the Bank is that match, which is crazy because you would think it would be Money in the Bank, but I'm not excited for it at all.
Those two should have a good match. I mean, Natty trained Ronda. So.
And Ronda last night on the microphone in this feud in particular has been the Ronda that I want to hear when she's talking.
Okay.
What she said last night was good. The only way you'll be a main eventer is being dressed like me because Natty came out in full Ronda gear. She made a comment about her boobs always being out too, which I got it, but it was what it was. Cheap heat pop there from a babyface. But yeah, this is what I'm most excited for going into Money in the Bank, which is just ridiculous to say that Ronda and Natty has caught my eye.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about the PLE at all. I was just going to watch it just to watch it.
The past couple weeks I've watched Raw, but I haven't really made the time for SmackDown in a while. So I'll have to go back on YouTube and just catch some of their stuff for that. So,
I mean, last night the opening segment was. We talk about giving away endings. Like, they did it again last night. Like, why am I going to stick around and watch the rest of the show? You set up the story. You have Sheamus and Drew in the ring, cutting the same promo they've cut on each other for 19 months now. Then you have Paul Heyman come out. You get him to have Adam Pearce reverse his decision so Sheamus and Drew aren't in the match. But they can get in if they beat the Usos. And the reason why they're not in is so that neither one of them can cash in on Roman if they win. So once they made the match, Sheamus and Drew are going to win because they're going to be in Money in the Bank. So there's no point in me watching the main event.
Yeah.
The other story that caught my eye that I'm interested in, and I can argue this and make a case for this, is Sami Zayn with the Bloodline and him being now in the Money in the Bank match. There's not a lot of people for Roman to wrestle right now, star-wise, right? Why they broke glass on Brock again. Brock's not beating Roman at SummerSlam, and if he does, they've done lost all their marbles that you ruined a damn near almost 3-year run, or going on 3 years, by having Brock beat Roman. I can make the case and book it to where you let Sammy win Money in the Bank. He's the honorary Uso. He did it for Roman. He hands Roman the briefcase. I'm not cashing it in, Uso. I got you. You don't got to worry about nobody. But in the briefcase, it's empty. The contract's not in it. Sammy keeps the contract. So Roman's just walking around with an empty briefcase, thinking he's cool. And at some point in time, Sammy comes in, cashes in, you have Roman beat him, and then you move on to something else. But at least it gives something.
It's a story, yeah.
Right? It gives you something.
It is more entertaining than what they're going to give you.
Thank you.
It's time for us to put those applications in the WWE.
Hey, they're letting people go.
That's a story that you can tell and it can carry on and you can run it and everything else. Roman has that false sense of security. He got the briefcase. Nobody can touch him. Smash everybody and leave. I show up for a pay-per-view. Have a hell of a match. Little weak-legged, little wobbly. Sammy comes out to congratulate him, takes the contract out of his back pocket, cashes in. Have a quick little 5-minute match, and Roman pins him, and then go on about your way. Sammy's kicked out. He's no longer an honorary Uso. and you move on and do something else. But at least it's something in the meantime, because you have on both shows right now, they have no stars. No stars.
Well,
Very limited
mhm.
for entertainment. Period. It's like I can watch Raw. I've watched Raw the past few weeks, and I can get like an hour and a half in, hour and a half in, and then at that point, it's just like, all right, I'm done.
You have almost in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
They keep
For
trying.
what? For what?
He's just a
He
big
can't
man to
cli-
hold
he
the
can't
ladder.
climb the ladder.
That's all he is. He's just a support to hold the ladders.
He
I
can
mean,
damn near reach up and grab the title.
I mean, they
But-
had Kane and Big Show in these matches before that made no sense too, but
But
at least
Kane
those
and-
guys could go.
They could move in the ring and
Yeah.
were able to do stuff. Almost can't do shit.
No, not at all.
So yeah, WWE right now, to me, it's like the off season where, you know, NBA playoffs wrapped up, NHL playoffs are about to wrap up. I got a break until football starts, so I'm not paying attention at all, and that's how I feel about WWE right now.
No.
I got a break until SummerSlam. I'll tune back in SummerSlam, because this shit right now that they're doing just has no interest to me at all.
It's been that way since WrestleMania for me.
And the New Day last night were out there cracking. We don't do repeat matches. Like I'm sitting there like, no, that's all you do.
No,
and I
they
get
don't,
the joke.
Mhm.
I get the joke. I get what they're doing, but it's like, come on now. This is all you do. This is all your
No.
company does is repeat matches.
Yeah.
Then what, they got beat up by the Viking Raiders? The new team.
Yeah, returning Viking Raiders.
The new team
Who are,
that we
brand, who are brand
debuting.
new to SmackDown.
Debuting Viking Raiders.
Been on the main roster for 3 years.
Did they throw like the K backwards or something to at least change up the name a little bit?
They wore different face paint.
Oh, okay.
They like
The gear's
like
a little bit different.
like old school Legion of Doom, like look face paint wise. And then they had on like different gear, and they came out as heels, as characters, and everything else. McAfee stole the show last night again between his promo and then whenever the horns from the ship sounded. McAfee's like, "Is there a boat here I don't know about?" Like, but yeah, I mean it's literally now more than ever as I watch WWE, it's not booked for me.
No.
And it hasn't been for a long time. So
I said that argument a while ago. I just can't find the entertainment these days.
yeah. MLW Battle Riot was Thursday night. I believe it's up on their YouTube. Check it out, watch it. There was a surprise 40th entrant. The former Harland Parker Boudreaux showed up in MLW. Some other surprises in that announced. Battle Riot's always one of the best shows of the year. I love it. Nostalgia purposes. It's crazy. It's chaotic. You know, I mean, last year they had freaking Kim Chi come back. Like
Last year was good.
you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, tune in for that for MLW and Impact. I watched Slammiversary. Solid show from them. They have another show. They have another show coming up on July 1st against All Odds. They've announced already some matchups. We're getting a Clockwork Orange house match, which hasn't been seen in a decade. That's Raven's creation.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Sammy and Moose in that. So yeah,
that match didn't do anything for me at Slammiversary.
I didn't mind it. You could tell it was kind of worked, not in Moose's favor, but you know, it wasn't the normal Monsters Ball match.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was more because I felt like it was slowed down a little bit for Moose.
Yeah.
So
Nothing wrong with what they did, but
yeah. I just felt didn't. like I said, I was hoping it was going to give another element to Moose to make me want to like him, and it didn't.
I don't think I got anything else really pro wrestling wise. I'm good.
Yeah,
if you guys are good.
I'm good too.
All right.
Sports.
Let's do it.
All right, we got this weekend sports. Just a couple brief topics here to get into. I know for me, Donald, you can touch on what you sent over in the group text because it was, I think, the same stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
But I saw so the PGA Tour versus the Live Tour, right? It's the Monday Night Wars of golf.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Big announcement this week: Brooks Koepka is joining the Live Tour. So again, that's another big time name that's leaving for the Live Tour. Won't be able to compete in PGA events. Will be able to play in the Masters because the Masters are not run by the PGA. So, or I'm sorry, the majors, not just the Masters, but those are separate events, which is why you saw the guys that competed in the U.S. Open last weekend.
So is golf getting like boxing, where we're gonna have all these different companies of different divisions?
No, there's two right now. I mean, the Live Tour is backed by Saudi money, and everybody is up in arms because it's backed by Saudi money. So they're getting the WWE. Those golfers that are joining the Live Tour are getting the WWE treatment for taking Saudi money. The PGA Tour, and I didn't know this until all this came out, and I shout out to Pat McAfee show watching it, but the PGA Tour is the only pro sports organization that doesn't pay pro athletes. They're responsible for everything themselves.
So they're independent contractors too.
So you get onto the tour, you're paying for your travel, you're paying for your hotel stay, you're paying for everything. And the purse money is the purse money, but a lot of times golfers can come out of the weekend and be down thousands of dollars based on where they finished.
Yeah.
So
I understand that.
I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew that their caddies didn't get paid.
Yeah, so
the golfers themselves can pay their caddies.
It's literally you get what you win. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, based off the amount of
pretty
money
much how it was in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Based on how it's playing out and the money that the Live Tour is sending the guys. I mean, guys are getting six figures just to play on the tour, not counting if they win on tournaments and that.
Yeah,
we're talking six figures for a lot of these players. So the PGA Tour announced yesterday in order to compete with Live Golf, they're now making some changes to where they're going to have 3 new no-cut tournaments. So everybody plays the full weekend. Everybody finishes, and you get whatever is allotted to your slot based off of where you finish. They're going to return to a calendar year schedule, so January through December. There's now 8 tournament purses that are raised by $53.8 million total. And the Players' Championships purse, the specific Players' Championship purse will rise to $25 million, and there's 6 other tournaments that will grow to $20 million that they announced. So this just goes to show that they've had the money all along. They've just never paid pro athletes.
Yep.
The fact that you can get to a pro level, the highest of high levels, right? You are the best handful of people in the entire world. You're the 0.0009% of the 1% in your profession, and you don't get paid by your profession. That's crazy.
That would be interesting to see, and they'll never release the figures, but it would be interesting to see is what they bring in, what they do pay out, for people that work for the PGA, and then what? Because they're getting the TV deals and the
the
video game and all
sponsorships.
that kind of, and all the sponsorships, and yeah, it would be interesting to see like what the real profit is that they have that they could be giving to the players.
I always saw the Live Tour as like if somebody's leaving one job for another job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you gonna get mad at me when I'm gonna take my skills to another place and get paid more?
And if that place is giving you a base,
yes, yeah, like they won't do that. Like if somebody leaves Google for Apple, you're not gonna get mad at them about that, or vice versa. So what you getting mad about these golfers for?
Right.
And them too, like they saying like the majors, like they want them to hold them out on the majors, which the majors are independent, like Steve said. Some of them live golfers are winners of those majors, and for winning the majors, you're exempt. So you automatically get to play. You don't have to run through the tournament or their little sign up thing that the U.S. Open has and all that stuff. Like
I believe it's like a point system or whatever. You have to qualify based off of so many points in order to get in if you're not a past major winner.
Yeah, so if I go to the Live, but I already won the U.S. Open, like you're not going to hold me out just because I switched to this tour. I'm a former winner. I'm exempt from all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I just show up and play. So yeah, so fuck the PGA. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting, and it really is fascinating to sit there and watch it and see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to touch on, and then Donald, you can bring up what we had post or pre-production. What we said, Shohei Ohtani might have had the greatest 2 days in baseball history, and I think he did have the greatest 2 days in baseball history. So he had an eight run or an 8 hit a game where he had 8 RBIs. Okay. Drove in 8 runs. The following game, he struck out 13 batters. It's never been done. Like, the dude is unreal. And the fact that he is not the face of baseball, and baseball does a terrible job of promoting the players that they do have that are stars, it's just mind-boggling to me. And on top of that, the fact that the Angels have Ohtani and Trout, and they can't win shit.
No, they can't win.
It's terrible. You have the 2 of the top 5 baseball players in the major leagues, and you can't win anything. But yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, this dude's just continuing on from last year with the craziness that he did. Driving 8 runs one game, and then the following game you have 13 strikeouts. That's insane.
Yeah, to piggyback off of baseball real quick. I can't believe this is coming out my mouth, but with Cruz O'Neal Cruz premiered for the Pirates this week, and everybody was just talking about him like, man, this is fascinating talent. Be a 6'7" shortstop and do all the stuff he's doing.
Yeah, it's great for the Yankees and the Red Sox because they're looking at their minor league system that is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Like in about 2 years, he'll be on our team.
Yo, there was a tweet that showed in his first game there was a ground ball hit the short, and he threw this freaking laser beam over to first base, and it's one of those pictures. It's one of those things where you watch it and you can literally hear the baseball flying through the air and hitting the mitt without actually listening to the sound of the play itself. Like it came through the screen and I could hear him throwing the baseball. I'm like, that is a freaking missile that he just threw over to first base. Like, I'm still not paying to go to the ballpark, but
and I'm going to be number one hater on that for sure, as I always do. People make a big deal about him throwing the ball to first base.
I thought you were raising your hand to say that you were going to go to the ballpark.
No. But him throwing the ball to first base, I mean, I've seen that in the past 150 years of baseball from the shortstop.
Well, not like that.
I've seen it before. He just threw the ball.
Definitely didn't see that from Derek Jeter. I can tell you that much. I hope Ken is listening.
He just threw the ball to first base. That was it. That's like a goaltender. That's like a goaltender stopping a puck in hockey. I've seen it plenty of times.
Come on now. There's levels to this, and what he's doing right now. I mean, he finished with 7 RBIs in his first 6 games and was 1 RBI short of tying the Major League Baseball record for most consecutive games with an RBI to start your career.
Oh, I'm happy for him for that. I'm just saying the third to first base is a third to first base.
Oh, you're such a hater.
I did say I was going to hate on this.
What team does he win the World Series with?
Yeah, that's the question. Because it ain't going to be the Pirates. All right, what else we got sports-wise touch on?
Jason actually sent this over, but the new college football game that's going to be coming out, saying that school payouts for the new EA football game will range from $10,000 to $104,000 based on a tier system.
Interesting.
So players are upset about their Madden ratings. Wait until college players get their ratings, and you got all these young kids upset because they're rated at 82, so they're slotted at a different tier, but they think they should be a 90. This is going to cause some shit. Hey, I'm not mad at them for getting the money. Get the money. It's just what it like. You want to talk about? Throw me the ball. Like,
yeah,
give me the ball. No. I got to get my rating up, so I get a different tier. Give me the ball. Like, that's going to come and be it's going to be fascinating to watch.
It's going to be like the lineman going to be like, oh, this quarterback's playing good because we're blocking for his ass. I should get more money.
Right, yeah.
And then the other thing I saw this week, too, they put out a best sports trophy bracket. And the bracket is the Stanley Cup versus the WWE title, the Heisman Trophy versus the Larry O'Brien Trophy, which is the NBA, the Green Jacket from the Masters against an Olympic gold medal, and the Lombardi Trophy from the NFL against the Commissioner's Cup in the MLB. So they said the best trophy bracket.
This list is completely flawed and invalid. First off, you have all U.S. championships on here except for a gold medal. So are you making it all the trophies worldwide, or are you just focusing on U.S. sports?
Sounds like U.S. sports only.
Sound like U.S. sports.
Any best of sports trophy list bracket that does not include the World Cup, is an invalid list for me. So I'm not even paying this any credence. This is invalid. It's flawed. It's not correct. Take it. If you want to debate it, go ahead. I don't care. It doesn't have the World Cup on it. It's the most popular game in the entire world. I mean, Christ, you had over 70 million people tune in for the freaking UEFA Championship. The World Cup, you have hundreds of millions of people watching that. There's no better trophy worldwide in sports than that.
And the trophy
on the list.
And the look of the trophy is a lot better than a ton of these that I named off. I like the Commissioner's Cup, the MLB one. I like the flags looking around.
So we can debate U.S. sports trophies, and we can break down that bracket. We got some dead time coming up here in the dog days of summer, so that'll be a good. We'll save that for sometime in July when we're running low on topics. We'll break that out for a sports segment and just debate that itself. Anything else?
That's it. I have for sports. Yep.
Stanley Cup Finals keep going on. Last night, Tampa won again, so Drake just keeps hitting, huh? So we got Tampa last night won, which forced a game 6, which will be tomorrow night. So we'll see if Colorado is currently leading 3-2. So we'll see if the Avalanche can win the Stanley Cup tomorrow, or if they'll force a game 7. Every time you think Colorado's advancing, Tampa just keeps pushing back. So
if momentum and body language tell you anything, Tampa Bay is winning game 6. Momentum, people can shit on momentum all you want in sports, but it is a real thing. Yeah. And body language is a real thing that carries over from game to game. If you look at the way Tampa was after they lost game 5 or game 4 to go down 3-1. If you look at the way they handled themselves and carried themselves and what they said after the game, you could almost have bet them to be a lock last night to win. If you look at the way the Avalanche were at the end of that game last night, every single player, shoulders down, this and that. The head coach is depressed. Like, you'd have thought it was the end of the series and they lost in Game 7. That to me does not bode well from coming out next game ready to go in Tampa Bay. So
if they force
I got
a Game
Tampa
7,
Bay winning.
Yeah, if they force a Game 7, Game 7 is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's the end of June and
we're still playing hockey. Yes.
Is ridiculous in and of itself. I know that the Olympics caused a little 2-week break there, but yeah, that you can't have it be July 1st and the Stanley Cup's wrapping up. It just makes no sense.
And then you're going to have 2 months off, and they come back in September. So,
all right, that's it. Let's get into the final. One got to go. Damn near forgot about the segment.
I did.
Last week, we had summer treats. The fans voted off Italian ice.
So underrated as a summertime snack and just refreshing.
Cool. The one they actually got the least amount of votes, they only got 1 vote by the fans, was ice cream. So everything else got some votes.
Yo, if I ever hit money, like if I get the Powerball, a Rita's Italian ice machine is going in my house.
The Richie Rich McDonald's, you're going to get the Rita's.
I'm eating Swedish fish gelatis all day long. That's it.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, so what do we got this week? Whose turn is it?
This is Jason's pick this week. So he's not on the show, but I do have his.
Yeah, he's on the show. He's in the corner.
He's in the corner. Yeah, I hope he doesn't put up beach attire because he would have been voted off easily.
Interesting.
So we got most Emmy-winning shows: Saturday Night Live, Game of Thrones, Frasier, and The Simpsons.
Normally, I shit on Jason for his picks when it comes to this segment of the show because he puts in no effort. But this one, I feel like he stumbled upon some list in his timeline and decided to move this over. But I will give him credit, even though I know he didn't go out and search this topic himself. He came across this by some, side swiping left on an Instagram secret profile that only he knows how to get to. He ended up on this list. The fact that Frasier is on here is crazy to me as far as winning the most Emmys. I would not have picked that to be up here on the list. Knocking Frasier. I watched it. Wasn't a week-to-week watcher of the show, but I'd think if you're thinking like that type of show, like maybe like Seinfeld or something like that would be higher up the list than Frasier. I've never seen one episode of Game of Thrones, and based off of the way the show ended, I don't think I'm going to put myself through the agony of watching all 7 seasons and getting to a terrible ending. Yeah. So not gonna worry about doing that. Saturday Night Live for me hasn't hit the same since probably the late 90s. I used to watch Saturday Night Live all the time. Now I don't even think about it being on TV. I'll catch YouTube clips of the news with Jost and Michael Che and watch them two write jokes for each other. That's hilarious. But other than that, I don't really tune in for Saturday Night Live at all. I'll go with Frasier. Frasier got to
go. Saturday Night Live, I don't watch it. Either Jason or Chris is telling me, scenes to go back and watch. That's the only time I watch it. So, I mean, we went on that tour whenever we went up to WrestleMania, of NBC and that stuff, and everybody else was in awe but me. I was like, okay. Game of Thrones. I watch Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. And just like Steve said, that last season was so bad. It reminded me of Star Wars and just erased my memory of the whole thing. Frasier, never watched Frasier at all. Don't know what Frasier's about. Don't know the network. Don't know anything.
It was NBC, like on their Thursday. Was it their Thursday night lineup back in the day? I think it was part of. It's with Kelsey Grammer.
Okay.
the cast is really good. The writing's really good on it. It's funny. It's good comedy.
It was a Cheers spinoff. Frasier was on Cheers, and
okay.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have pegged it to be on this list, and I'm like, that's still throwing me off seeing that.
I think a lot of it was because of the writing. I think they got the actors got a lot of it, but more for the writing of the show.
Simpsons, near and dear to my heart. Watched it when I was a kid when it first premiered. These new seasons, I fell off on it completely until like the movie came out, and I watched a couple seasons afterwards, and I fell off again. It just went on for too long. So just because I haven't seen it, Frasier will be the one I have to go.
Yeah. I'll read Jason's. I got his. Saturday Night Live is staying. It's hit or miss now, but I still watch consistently. Game of Thrones is a show, genre, and subject I have no interest in, but God damn it if it hooked me. Simpsons, I left that show in the 90s where it should have stayed, but staying because it's part of my youth. Frasier gotta go. So I feel the same way. Saturday Night Live is hit or miss. I changed my viewing habits on Saturday Night Live. I used to watch it like on Hulu the next morning, and watch pretty much the whole show, but now they put everything on YouTube. So it's like I just watch clips throughout the week, and sometimes that's the best part of it. You find like the one clip of the week and it makes the show. Frasier, I'm actually a big fan of. I've watched it a few times. Simpsons, it's not as much as I don't watch it now, but again, it's part of my youth. Like there's been times where I've tuned into it and really enjoyed it. I watched one episode of Game of Thrones, and that was the pilot. I didn't really care for it, never continued on, and probably will never go back and watch it. So for me, Game of Thrones will go.
I'm cool. You can wrap it up.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to episode 92. We got all of our social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @DumbMarksPod. You can head over to our YouTube and Twitch channels, follow and subscribe @DumbMarksPod. You can listen to all of our podcasts on demand. Go back, listen to them on all your favorite podcast platforms. For all the links and more of everything, head over to dumbmarkspod.com and support the show by telling a friend about us and purchasing our merch at prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod. Guys, do you have anything else for final thoughts?
Yes, I have a couple things. Nice lead in, Chris. Segue from one gotta go. Two Game of Thrones things. The House of Dragons will be premiering on HBO Max August 21st, and they currently have 7 spinoffs in development. They're talking right now. So one of them is The Tales of Dunk and Egg. Another one is called The Nine Voyages. Another one is 10,000 Ships. A spin-off anime series with no title yet, and they are in talks of Robert Rebellion, and the biggest one was they're talking about doing a Jon Snow sequel from the original one, and actually Kit Harington is going to come back and play that part. So they're in discussion with that. So that will be a major plus for how the 8th season ended real bad. But I know.
HBO went back and did stuff with like Sex and the City after they ended, and a little bit with Entourage and movies afterwards. But I don't remember HBO ever really like diving into a whole world like that.
Yeah, seems like they still got footing for probably how bad season 8 ended. That people want, something redone. I know a lot of people's clamoring for like a redo of season 8 altogether. I've seen that a lot online.
So we're gonna get the Snyder cut of season 8, and it's gonna be 17 episodes at 2 hours an episode to really tell the ending to Game of Thrones.
I wonder if HBO wasn't a thing right now, and it was just HBO Max is a thing right now. It was just HBO. Wonder if they would be doing all this.
I don't think all of this. I think they might still do like the House of Dragons that are premiering.
Okay.
Because that was even before HBO Max was even thought of.
Okay.
But the rest of them, I do not think so. Other entertainment news I have is Ezra Miller. He's out as Flash in the DCU.
So what are they going to do with the movie because it's finished? Are they going to release it, or do they go back and reshoot the whole entire movie with a new Flash?
Yeah, DC universe.
they should have fired. They should have fired him a long time ago. Like,
Yes.
The fact that it took to get to this point where he's just now getting fired is ridiculous to begin with.
Yeah. They need to stop. Just stop.
Stop everything.
And regroup and then come back.
I said this on the Knuckleheads podcast for them when they were talking about how they would reinvent the DCU and how they would introduce it back to fans to get people interested again. And I posed a question to them. Shout out to those guys. They do a fantastic job with all their shows. Black Adam, to me, is the DCU's version of Blade. It has to save the franchise. If it comes out and flops, the DCU is dead, and there's nothing that they can do to get it back. So that's where I'll stand. I'll plant that flag, and I can argue it and go back and forth with anybody on it that wants to try me and tell me I'm wrong. But that is where I stand right now with what they've done in the past, where they're currently at, and what is slated for the future. Black Adam has to be a smash, or else they're done.
You're not wrong on that, but I just wonder where Black Adam goes for the future here. You know, I've said this before. Shazam was the most entertaining DC movie I've watched. Because I don't know if I just went in with such low expectations going into it, and I enjoyed it, but it's been on like TNT and stuff, and I've watched it little bits here and there. But I'm looking forward to Black Adam. But where do they go with it afterwards? Because is The Rock really going to be that much of a focal point? Because they've tried to invest so heavily in the main DC characters, and that's just not working, at least to me.
Future be damned. I don't care about any of that. If it's not a smash, they're done.
You know it's going to make money. Number one, it's The Rock, so it's making money. There's no doubt about that. So are you going to factor in the money factor, or the movie actually has to be a smash? Because I think there's two factors there for it.
You need it all to come together. Like, it needs to. It's on life support, just like how Marvel was until Blade hit, and then that led into what if Blade doesn't do what they do, we don't have Marvel from the past 10 to 12 years. It doesn't exist. Blade saved that genre and allowed them to go into what we now know as just commonplace as far as movies, entertainment, TV series. Blade doesn't happen, none of Marvel
MCU's dead. Yep.
This is the one for the DCU. They've put out attempt after attempt after attempt. Their batting average is like 0.001. They have not succeeded with what they've tried to do for whatever reason. If this one does not hit, given the Rock star power and who he is and where he's at in entertainment as a figure and everything else, he needs to hit it in the role. The movie needs to hit from a standpoint of it being a good movie, and it got to generate money. If you don't have those three things based off of this movie, there's nothing else that they can do or roll out there that's going to get me invested in the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
I'll catch it when it hits HBO Max.
Except Peacemaker season 2, because Peacemaker was fantastic.
Yeah. And because of how they did that, I don't even consider that part of the DCU.
Yeah, neither do I. Neither do I. But I'm just saying, like that. But who did that? James Gunn. Where did James Gunn come from? Marvel, right? So like, it has to work. There's no arguing it. It has to be a success. Anything else? Final thoughts?
Yeah, last thing I have was in gaming news, Watch Mojo came out with their according to them, their top 5 fighting games of all time. So I'll do the top 5.
You want to save this for Jason for next week so we can argue this, because I got a feeling I don't want to leave him out on this subject, because I think it'll be a good debate between the four of us with him on the show.
I'll hold it out.
All right. I have not seen this. I have an idea on what I would have up there And I don't know if my top 5 would be this top 5, but I feel like this would be good fodder for the show to have the 4 of us argue back and forth, because I can guarantee you it'll cause some ripple effects throughout the
Oh, it will.
itself. Yeah,
It's going to create the clip of the week.
Oh, it will.
So tease that. We'll tease that till next week. That's what we'll lead the show off next week. So come back next week. Tune in, and we'll argue top 5 fighting games of all time. There.
Yeah, they actually had the top 20, but I just took the top 5 because it was too long of a list to go through. But yeah, I'll hold out.
All right. And that could be a show in of itself. Honestly, we maybe even have to get into doing that by itself. We can
have the top 20 list handy, because just in case we have questions like, did this even make it? Or
okay,
right.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay. Anything else? One quick thing for me, gaming wise, Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Amazing.
One of the best games I have played, and I can't tell you how long. And it hits on every single aspect: nostalgia, character, just the whole entire thing. I'm working through story mode. I am playing it on the easiest level because I'm not that big of a gamer, so I'm trying to get my feet wet. I'm enjoying it. I love it. If you have not played it, it's on Xbox. It's on Game Pass now. Go download it. You'll enjoy it. Whether you're my age or a young gamer, this game is perfect in every sense of the way.
I caught myself for 5 hours playing the one day.
Wow.
I was in the night. I was like, hold up, I'm supposed to be asleep for work. What am I doing?
You can't put once you're in
college
there
flashbacks, huh?
No, seriously. It is that good, that much fun. It's tremendous.
We need to get a group game going.
Yeah, I'm about to go back through it on the hard level now.
So I think we were talking about this before. Did we figure out, or is it PlayStation, Xbox compatible to do games?
No, it's not. It's just Xbox and PC compatible.
Okay.
PlayStation is just through PlayStation. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not cross play.
Okay.
Quote of the week this week to leave off on the show. I don't have a quote of the week. Instead, I have a homework assignment for audience. You're like, oh, boo, summertime. Who's giving homework? You're
cop out.
No, seriously, it's not a cop out. And the reason why I say this, go watch Mike Tomlin's episode of The Pivot that came out this week with Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder. And not just because I'm a Steeler fan and I'm a homer, right? But Tomlin and his catchphrases, his saying, his motivations, how he leads individuals, what leadership is. Like, there are jewels upon jewels upon jewels that don't just apply to sports. They apply to every facet of life, no matter what career you're in, what stage of life you're in, where you're at, what you're looking to accomplish, who you want to be. It touches on all of it. And if you can't take something out of that interview and apply it to yourself on a daily basis, then we need to schedule a one-on-one Dr. Phil couch session and figure out what we need to do for you, because there is something for everybody in that interview. So tune in, check it out. It is an hour and a half long. I will tell you that up front, but it goes by very fast, and it is well worth the watch. So go watch that, tune in, hit us up on social media, let us know what you think, because there's a lot of life takeaways from that, not just involving sports, even though they talk about sports. So
is there something for black sweatsuits on the beach?
No, there's nothing for that. That can't be. No, there's not.
That's how you bookend
it. So if we can, one more time, can we just before we sign off, can we just full screen that image and we'll go sign off? What a fucking mark.
Trying to bring sexy back.
Man got on a sauna suit at the beach. He got on a fucking sauna suit. He's the skinniest one on the show, and he's wearing a sauna suit. Just pull it up and go silent and end the show.
I got it.